Have you ever felt that chill down your spine? That moment when a film grabs you by the throat and refuses to let go? What if I told you the most nail-biting thrillers weren't made yesterday, but over half a century ago? Before you click away thinking, not another vintage movie lecture, hear me out. Tonight, we're peeling back the velvet curtain on 15 razor-sharp suspense pictures from the swinging 60s. Stories so tense you'll swear the celluloid itself is trembling. These aren't your grandfather's dusty film reels. These are the revolutionary masterpieces that made directors like Tarantino and Fincher possible. Ready to test your pulse against the ticking of celluloid time? Let's dim the lights, cue the projector, and dive straight into danger. Psycho, 1960. When you hear that screeching violin, you know exactly what's coming. But in 1960, nobody saw it coming. Alfred Hitchcock slices into suburban America with a motel where the vacancy sign flickers like a warning heartbeat. Amateur thief Marion Crane never makes it past the shower, leaving boyfriend Sam Loomis and sister Lila to decode Norman Bates's nervous half-smiles and stuttering explanations. What's truly shocking? Hitch financed this revolutionary film himself for a modest $806,000 after Paramount balked at the content. He shot with his television crew from Alfred Hitchcock Presents, banned stars from standard publicity tours, and insisted theaters refuse entry after the film began. The gamble paid off spectacularly. Psycho slashed its way to a worldwide gross north of $32 million, equivalent to over $300 million today. Critics were divided at first. Some called it merely morbid and a gimmick movie, yet repeat audiences wrapped entire city blocks just to experience that shower scene. And what a scene it was. Those 45 seconds of terror required 78 camera setups and took 7 days to film. Chocolate syrup stood in for blood, and the sound of a knife entering flesh. That was a melon being stabbed. Hitchcock changed horror editing forever and taught studios that terror plus word of mouth equals box office gold. Think that shower scene is the only innovation? Think again. Psycho was the first American film to show a flushing toilet on screen, a shocking bit of realism for 1960. Loving this twisted masterpiece so far? Brace yourself. The knife's just been raised. Peeping Tom, 1960. If Psycho made you scream, Michael Powell's Peeping Tom dares you to question why you screamed at all. Released the same year as Hitchcock's Slasher, this British psychological thriller holds up a mirror to our voyeuristic obsessions. Karl-Heinz Bohm plays shy cameraman Mark Lewis, who records women's final, terrified expressions as he murders them with a blade hidden in his tripod. The critical reaction was immediate and devastating. British reviewers torched Powell's career overnight, deeming the film wicked and obscene, the sickest and filthiest film I remember seeing. One critic demanded the film be flushed down the nearest sewer. Yet, future auteurs Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, Francis Ford Coppola later hailed its meta-commentary on voyeurism as decades ahead of its time. Shot on a shoestring 135,000-pound budget, the production pioneered shocking point-of-view angles through Mark's lens, forcing the audience into uncomfortable complicity. Powell's ingenious touch? Mark's victims see their own terrified reflections in a mirror attached to his camera as they die, literally watching themselves become victims of the male gaze, decades before film theory would coin the term. Today, the restored print tours festivals worldwide, its once banned footage now studied in film schools, as the pivotal moment cinema stared back at us and asked, "Enjoying the view?" Before you answer, consider what your fascination with these films might reveal about yourself. Cape Fear, 1962. The moment Robert Mitchum's ex-con, Max Cady, strolls into Georgia heat, humming Amazing Grace. Family picnics feel forever perilous. His Panama hat tilts just so. His cigar smoke curls like a question mark, and suddenly the American dream seems paper thin. Adapted from John D. MacDonald's novel, The Executioners, J. Lee Thompson's thriller pits civility against unblinking vengeance. Universal Studios balked at the film's violence, trimming several scenes to skirt censorship. Yet the menace bled through regardless. Even with cuts, the attempted rape sequence and Katie's casual cruelty toward animals shocked audiences accustomed to cleaner heroes and villains. Box office was a respectable $13 million, but television syndication turned Katie into a household nightmare, a bogeyman for the professional class. Mitchum's lazy drawl, filmed deliberately after midnight so fatigue would soften his voice, still drips like molasses over a razor blade. "I got something planned for your wife and kid that they ain't never gonna forget," he promises. And we believe every syllable. Director Thompson used extreme low angles to make Katie loom larger than life, while Pex Bowden was often shot from above, diminishing him. Even Bernard Herrmann's brass-heavy score sounds like it's breathing down your neck. Ready for more psychological warfare? Let's sail into even murkier water. Knife in the Water, 1962. Before Roman Polanski fled to Hollywood, he crafted this minimalist masterpiece that traps a bourgeois couple and a hitchhiking student on a lonely sailboat, where a single blade becomes a silent judge of masculine pride. It's a triangle with razor edges, husband, wife, and stranger caught in a psychological game where the rules shift with every wave. Shot entirely on Poland's misty Mazuri lakes for under $400,000, the film wrung maximum suspense from shifting deck planks, mirrored water reflections, and claustrophobic cabin quarters. With just 3 actors and dialogue sparse as driftwood, Polanski proved that tension lives in glances, not gunshots. Jazz percussion replaces traditional orchestral cues, amplifying every boat creak until you're certain someone won't make it back to shore. Though the film lost the Best Foreign Language Oscar to Fellini's 8.5, its minimalist tension influenced everything from Spielberg's Duel to Nicole Kidman's Dead Calm. Critics still marvel at how Polanski turned open water into an airtight coffin, a debut so assured that the New York Times hailed it as a brilliant psychological thriller. The communist government was less impressed. When the film received an Oscar nomination, they denied Polanski permission to attend the ceremony. Keep your life vest handy, there's turbulence ahead, as we shift from psychological warfare to glamorous espionage. Charade, 1963. Imagine North by Northwest sprinkled with Parisian sugar and a dash of screwball comedy. That's Stanley Donen's Charade, a film so charming you'll forget how often it threatens to kill Audrey Hepburn. Donen pairs Hepburn's chic widow with Cary Grant's slippery stranger as corpse-counting villains, chase missing war loot through Parisian landmarks. Budgeted at $3 million and wrapped in Technicolor glamour, Charade banked over $13 million domestically, thanks in part to Henry Mancini's hummable title tune that you're probably hearing in your head right now. Here's a fascinating behind-the-scenes tidbit. Grant, then 59 and concerned about the 25-year age gap with Hepburn, insisted that the script be flipped so she pursued him rather than the other way around. A witty reversal that makes their romantic banter sparkle with modern sensibility. "Do you know what's wrong with you?" Hepburn asked Grant. "No what?" "Nothing." Critics dubbed it the best Hitchcock movie Hitchcock ever made, while Universal Pictures accidentally forgot to include a copyright notice on the prints, immediately placing the film in public domain. Having fun with this glossy puzzle box? Fasten that seatbelt. Espionage just turned kitchen sink grimy as we dive into Cold War paranoia. The Ipcress File, 1965. Goodbye tuxedos, hello, NHS glasses and trench coats. Producer Harry Saltzman spent £300,000 to introduce Harry Palmer, Michael Caine's sardonic alternative to 07, who shops at supermarkets, cooks his own meals, and worries about his salary. Based on Len Deighton's novel, director Sidney J. Fury's approach was revolutionary. He rejected conventional spy film glamour, instead shooting London as a grimy labyrinth of bureaucracy, where even espionage feels like office politics. Fury's signature low-angle keyhole shots place viewers behind lampshades, filing cabinets, and car windows, turning surveillance into visual-style decades before found footage horror. The film's brain-scrambling Ipcress torture sequence pulsed through electronic Moog oscillators, earning composer John Barry a BAFTA, a striking departure from his lush Bond themes. British ticket sales soared past £1 million, and Palmer's recipe for cheap coffee and cynical quips influenced everything from Tinker Tailor, Soldier Spy, to the Bourne franchise. "You should have been an academic," Palmer's boss sneers. "I am," he replies. "I'm a secret academic. Still with me, agents?" The briefing gets considerably darker as we enter the mind of a collector with unusual tastes. The Collector, 1965. William Wyler trades Ben-Hur chariots for a damp Surrey cellar in this adaptation of John Fowles's novel. Butterfly enthusiast Freddie Clegg kidnaps art student Miranda Gray, imprisoning her in his country estate's converted cellar. His chilling logic? He collects her as he would a rare specimen, hoping she'll learn to love him in captivity. Wyler, known for extracting Oscar-winning performances, employed psychological warfare to heighten realism. He deliberately kept Stamp and Egger isolated from each other, offset, spiking genuine tension. Egger's first horrified glimpse of the basement prison was captured on camera for authentic shock. The actress later revealed she felt genuinely terrified of Stamp throughout filming. Costing $1.4 million, the picture quadrupled its budget worldwide and snagged both stars' Cannes Acting Awards. Wyler's camera work is deceptively simple. He holds shots uncomfortably long, making viewers complicit in Miranda's imprisonment. Modern psycho-thrillers, from Misery to Room, owe a chilling debt to Freddie's whispered "beautiful, beautiful" as the net closes. The film's most disturbing innovation? Making Freddie sympathetic in his wounded loneliness while never excusing his actions. The template for every understanding serial killer, from Hannibal Lecter to Joe Goldberg. Need a breather after that claustrophobic nightmare? Too bad. The next pulse is pounding already as we hit the mean streets of Los Angeles. Point Blank, 1967. I want my money. With this three-word mission statement, Lee Marvin's Walker stalks neon-lit Los Angeles, seeking the $93,000 his partners stole after a heist gone wrong. Director John Borman's fractured timeline and expressionistic visuals shatter noir conventions, leaving viewers to question if Walker is even alive or just a vengeful ghost. Shot in widescreen Metro color for $2 million, the film flopped domestically, but exploded in European art houses, where critics hailed its pop art brutality and existential cool. Borman's camera transforms Alcatraz and LAX into abstract concrete nightmares where footsteps echo like gunshots. Marvin's icy glare, often captured with telephoto lenses from a block away, lets modernist buildings roil with menace behind him, architecture becoming character. The fight scenes reinvented screen violence, quick, brutal, and emotionless. Marvin, a decorated World War II Marine, coached stuntmen to make combat look efficient, not flashy. In one iconic sequence, Walker simply walks down an endless corridor. His footsteps mix so loudly they become percussion instruments, punctuating his relentless pursuit. Quentin Tarantino cites Point Blank as required viewing for understanding modern crime films. Without it, Reservoir Dogs might still be stuck in the vault. Steven Soderbergh's The Limey paid direct homage, and Christopher Nolan has named it an influence on Memento's fractured narrative. Feeling the floor rumble? That's the reverberation of revenge cinema being reinvented before your eyes. Wait Until Dark, 1967. Darkness becomes a weapon in Terrence Young's adaptation of Frederick Knott's stage play. Audrey Hepburn, coached by blindness consultants for months, plays recently blinded photographer Susie Hendricks, who counts footsteps in her Greenwich Village apartment as heroin-smuggling con man Harry Rote and his accomplices hunt for a doll stuffed with heroin hidden in her apartment. The film's final act pioneered experiential cinema. Director Young plunged theaters into total darkness during climactic scenes, synchronizing audience blindness with Hepburn's character. The studio's marketing department capitalized on this gimmick with posters warning, "During the last 8 minutes of this picture, the theater will be darkened to the legal limit to heighten the terror of the breathtaking climax." Audience shrieks became a viral marketing hook decades before social media. Budgeted at $3 million, it grossed 10 times that. And Hepburn's Oscar-nominated turn remains a masterclass in sensory suspense. For the scene where Rote attacks Susie with a knife, Arkin performed so ferociously that Hepburn was genuinely terrified, resulting in an authentic scream that made the final cut. The film's genius lies in making ordinary household items, weapons of war. Refrigerator light becomes a tactical advantage. A simple match becomes salvation. When the refrigerator door swings open, spilling white light across the blackened set, You'll swear the shadows behind your couch just moved. 60 years later, A Quiet Place and Don't Breathe still mine this sensory deprivation territory. Wait Until Dark pioneered. In the Heat of the Night, 1967. They call me Mr. Tibbs. With those 5 words, Sidney Poitier redefined black masculinity in American cinema, standing his ground in Mississippi heat as Philadelphia detective Virgil Tibbs. Norman Jewison's Oscar-winning thriller forces Rod Steiger's drawling Sheriff Gillespie to cooperate with Tibbs when a northern industrialist is murdered in their small southern town. The production faced immediate challenges, filmed mostly in Illinois, after locals protested an interracial cast, with plantation scenes shot in Tennessee, where armed guards protected Poitier after threats from local Klansmen. The crew kept cotton stalks refrigerated to maintain the illusion of Mississippi heat while shooting in cooler climates. Budget, $2 million. Gross, $24 million. Oscars, 5, including Best Picture. Poitier's slap heard round the world, returning a white man's strike, shattered Hollywood taboos. The scene wasn't in the original script. Poitier added it himself, with the condition that it appear in all versions worldwide, knowing Southern theaters might cut it otherwise. Meanwhile, Quincy Jones's harmonica-laced score made Back Porch Blues feel like a siren wail, threading racial tension through every frame. Beyond its politics, In the Heat of the Night succeeds as a pure procedural thriller. The greenhouse interrogation, the cotton-picking pursuit, the late-night ambush, all ratchet tension while examining racial dynamics in microcosm. From SC7N to True Detective, every mismatched detective duo owes a debt to Tibbs and Gillespie's reluctant partnership. Targets, 1968. Peter Bogdanovich's directorial debut performs a chilling feat of cultural diagnosis. It cross-cuts between aging horror icon Byron Orlock. He is playing a version of himself, and clean-cut Vietnam vet Bobby Thompson, who turns real-life sniper at a drive-in theater showing Orlock's latest film. Produced for Roger Corman on a lean $125,000 budget, the film reused leftover footage from The Terror and wrapped it in 23 days. Karloff, then 80 and ailing, owed Corman 2 days' work. Bogdanovich stretched it to 5, writing scenes Karloff could perform seated. The result includes a weary monologue, part scripted, part autobiographical, where Karloff Orlock laments, "My kind of horror isn't horror anymore." That line encapsulates the film's thesis. Gothic monsters have been replaced by the all-American boy next door with a hunting rifle. Premiering shortly after the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy, Targets felt eerily prophetic. Today it's essential viewing for anyone tracking violence's evolution on screen. Bogdanovich's visual stratagem is brilliant. As Orlock recounts The Appointment in Samara, fable about death's inevitability, we see Bobby loading rifles into his car trunk. The sniper sequence at the drive-in creates cinema's most meta moment. Bobby fires through the screen at audience members who initially mistake real gunshots for the movie's soundtrack. When old horror finally confronts new horror, the collision feels like American cinema's torch being passed to a darker generation. The Bride Wore Black, 1968. Francois Truffaut channels his idol Alfred Hitchcock and pulp novelist Cornell Woolrich as Jean Moreau's black-clad widow Julie Kohler methodically disguises herself to execute the 5 men responsible for accidentally killing her husband on their wedding day. Shot in lush Eastman color with a Bernard Herrmann score that echoes Psycho's strings, the film cost $1.8 million and broke box office records in France while receiving mixed reviews stateside. Truffaut reportedly clashed with Herrmann over the music's intensity, yet that stabbing string motif survived to stain the film crimson. Moreau's performance is a masterclass in controlled emotion. Her Julie shifts identities with unsettling ease, from child care worker to housemaid to interview subject. Each murder corresponds to a man's fatal flaw: vanity, lust, greed, paternal instinct, love of art. Truffaut shoots each killing with different visual language, one stylized like a painting, another with documentary realism. Quentin Tarantino lifted its death list framework for Kill Bill, proving revenge can be as stylish as it is ruthless. Unlike most revenge narratives, Truffaut denies us catharsis. Julie's vengeance brings her no peace, only emptiness and imprisonment. The film's final shot of Julie in her cell, wearing her wedding dress while making shadow puppets against the wall, remains one of cinema's most haunting images of revenge's hollow victory. Thirsting for more psychological mysteries, the Italian villa up next hides madness in its frescoed walls. A Quiet Place in the Country, 1968. Franco Nero's shell-shocked painter Leonardo and Vanessa Redgrave's wealthy lover Flavia retreat to an abandoned rural manor where World War II ghosts, particularly a murdered teenage girl, whisper inspiration for his increasingly disturbed canvases. Director Elio Petri mixed art house surrealism with giallo horror unease, creating a hallucinatory meditation on artistic obsession. The film's sound design remains revolutionary. Petri sound engineered rustling cornfields so they hiss like whispered voices, while everyday noises like dripping faucets, ticking clocks amplify to maddening levels when Leonardo's paranoia spikes. Maestro Ennio Morricone contributed an atonal score that makes even silence feel threatening. Italian box office receipts were modest, yet festival audiences praised its sensory overload approach to psychological breakdown. The film's dream sequences, fractured, rapid-fire montages of war imagery, nude bodies, and splattered paint, inspired generations of horror directors. Industrial Light and Magic founder Dennis Muren later cited its visual techniques as a subconscious influence on his effects work. Most impressively, Petri refuses to clarify what's supernatural versus psychological. Is the manor haunted, or is Leonardo's mind fracturing under artistic pressure? The film suggests creativity and madness share the same bloody roots. Step softly through this neglected masterpiece. The walls remember everything, even if viewers forgot this gem until recent restorations brought it back into circulation. Zed, 1969. Any resemblance to real persons and events is not coincidental. It is intentional. With this defiant closing title card, Costa Gavras transformed Greek political assassination into a sprinting newsreel thriller that edits with jackhammer urgency. Based on the 1963 assassination of Greek democratic politician Grigoris Lambrakis, Z was shot in Algeria for $800,000 after the military junta banned filming in Greece. Despite its incendiary politics, the film recouped 60 times its cost and earned the foreign language Oscar, plus a Best Picture nomination, a rare feat for non-English films. Yves Montand plays the doomed pacifist politician Zed, means he lives in ancient Greek, a protest symbol, while Jean-Louis Trintignant's examining magistrate uncovers the government conspiracy behind the accidental death. The film's breathless editing, cutting between multiple perspectives of the same events, creates documentary-like immediacy that influenced political thrillers for decades. Most daringly, composer Mikis Theodorakis himself, imprisoned by the junta, smuggled the film's banned revolutionary score back into Greece on vinyl records labeled as popular music. When the film reveals that key witnesses died mysteriously, generals were promoted, and democracy itself was suspended. These weren't fictional plot twists, but Greece's actual history. The film's influence extends beyond cinema. When the real Greek junta fell in 1974, many cited Z as having kept international attention on the regime's brutality. Rarely has a thriller changed not just filmmaking, but political history itself. Steven Spielberg called it one of the most important political films ever made. While its techniques echo through everything from All the President's Men to The Bourne Ultimatum. Whatever Happened to Aunt Alice, 1969. Ruth Gordon squares off against Geraldine Page in a sun-bleached Arizona Gothic, where widows plant more than roses in their immaculate desert gardens. Producer Robert Aldrich, following his Whatever Happened to Baby Jane success, brings us Claire Marable, a newly impoverished widow who hires housekeepers, steals their savings, and plants pine trees over their bodies. The film's subversive genius lies in transforming gentrified retirement communities into killing fields, turning garden shears and teapots into instruments of murder. Budgeted at a thrifty $1 million and shot in scorching Phoenix heat, the production reused crew from Aldrich's Psycho Biddy classics. Page allegedly practiced digging holes between takes for realism. The scent of oleander on set gave extras headaches from the plant's natural toxicity. Though initial receipts were mild, late-night television syndication transformed the film into a cult horticultural horror. The underwater sequence where Alice nearly drowns in a swimming pool was filmed over 3 grueling days. Gordon, then 72, insisted on performing her own water stunts despite the director's concerns. What elevates Aunt Alice beyond camp is its economic subtext. Claire kills because the patriarchal financial system has left her destitute after her husband's death. Her victims are women equally failed by that system, and their bodies fertilize plants that represent Claire's attempt to regrow her lost fortune. It's a horror story about capitalism, dressed in floral prints and garden gloves. Ready to unearth wider secrets of the 60s cinema? And there you have it, 15 60s thrillers that still hit harder than a thunderclap on reel-to-reel. From basement terrors to political powder kegs, these films prove suspense never ages. It just changes masks. Forget CGI monsters and predictable jump scares. These classics understand that real terror lives in human psychology and social anxiety. Which title shattered your nerves the most? Drop your answer in the comments, then smash that like button if your heart's still beating. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so our Golden Age caravan can keep rolling through hidden back alleys of cinema history. If you enjoyed this journey into 60s suspense, check out our playlists on film noir and 70s paranoia thrillers, the natural evolution of what you've seen today. Share this video with a fellow classic film fiend, and join us next week when we exhume another trove of timeless treasures. Until then, keep the popcorn warm and the projector humming. See you in the dark.